And then we go to the last one, which is the two foundations. That's pretty funny, muted myself. Um, are you built on the rock, which of course is Christ, or are we built on the shifting sands? And I love the conclusion of the Sermon on the Mount where it said the people were astounded because he talked as one having authority. And I don't exactly know why folks wanted to bring up the Sermon on the Mount, but if I missed something that you want to mention, please do before we wrap this up with a brief discussion of polygamy was the other topic someone had asked about.
I just wanted to make a comment on the judgment part in the relation to like our incessant need to judge is like, I think it comes out of a lack of control that we have and our perception and need to forward that control is that damnation isn't out of a place of necessarily the things that are done wrong, but the fact that we don't have control over what other people do outside of their bodily autonomy, and our frustration with that is immeasurable. You know, like I see someone do something wrong and it isn't necessarily the wrongdoing, but the fact that I wasn't able to be involved within that decision and the control that comes with that is very interesting. Of like the Lord obviously has the last say in how those people and their judgment is served, but I don't like that because my human construct and mind can't comprehend what the Lord has for that plan.
Yeah, that's excellent, Joseph. Thank you. Yeah, I think if you find yourself having those little thoughts, judgy thoughts in your head, that should be a red flag for us. It sure is for me, because when I'm doing that, it means, and maybe sometime I'll give you an ethics talk. And one of the illustrations I use is this idea of ladder climbing, where it could be a ladder climbing of do's, all the things we're supposed to do to be in right relationship with God, and then maybe more rungs of don'ts that we're not supposed to do to be pleasing to God. And when we're doing that spiritual ladder climbing workout, and we see other people around us messing around or falling off the ladder or doing all this stuff, it's easy for us to judge and condemn those that we perceive as on lower rungs than us on the ladder, like, oh, they're not as mature, they're not as advanced or as spiritual, or envy or covet those that appear to be higher up on the rungs than us. And when I start judging people, I realize I'm caught back up in that cycle of ladder climbing. And when I remember who I am in Jesus, I realize I don't need to do or not do anything to be perfectly seated, saved, and sealed in Christ. I'm signed, sealed, delivered. There's nothing I can add to or take away from my salvation or my righteousness, because it's not mine. It belongs to God. But when I start thinking that it's my ladder climbing or my workout or my efforts, then of course I'm going to be annoyed if I'm doing all this work and someone else is just messing around and not doing it right. And I'm talking in a spiritual sense, but it's usually much more trivial, right? Like someone cuts you off in traffic. I'll never forget, I was riding around once with Jesus. I don't know why he was letting me drive. That was my bad. But he was riding behind me and this guy cut me off. And I was just like, learn to be a better driver. And in the same tone and frequency, I heard the impression over my back here. It said, learn to be a better Christian. And Jesus and I both just laughed and laughed all the way home. And he was reminding me, it's like, Fred, you are the last person that gets to judge anybody else. Like my niece would tell me growing up, when I'd be commenting on everyone's driving down the highway, she'd be like, worry about your own self, uncle. And now I hear that in my head all the time. Don't judge and worry about your own self.